Yes, welcome to this Sunday School webinar. And we'll start as we usually do here on these webinars, and that is to welcome the new people. If you're new here, someone told you to listen into this webinar. Congratulations, because here is where we change our thinking. And by changing our thinking, good things will happen. And we meet here once a week, not every Sunday, of course, because sometimes it's impossible due to technology or traveling or something. But most of Sundays we're here to just, discuss certain topics, to get inspired, to get motivated, to solve problems, to get a one-liner that we can use in our business. And that's the whole purpose, nothing else. We're not believing that we are sitting on the whole truth of anything, but we know that we have a lot of empiric knowledge that we can share with each other. So let's get started today. I show you this, I think I did, was it last Sunday or Sunday before? I think it's so good, so I will start this webinar today with just showing it again. And that is Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you haven't read that book, you should. He also have the Cash Flow Quadrant, his second book, and his third book is pretty interesting. The title of that book is If You Want to Be Rich, Don't Go to School. Sunday school, it's good here on Sunday. This school is good, but buy the book. It's pretty interesting. And he says, money is important, yet I don't want to spend my life working for it. And I think that's why we're here, because when we have certain knowledge about certain things, when we can follow principles, everything will turn to the better for everyone. And this is also something that I repeat, and actually I got it from Miles Monroe, one of his sessions. Got inspired by him, great guy. Unfortunately, he died a couple of years ago. He was a great friend of mine and an awesome inspiration. And also, leadership was his thing, And I think that if you don't realize it, you're here for the leadership. And sometimes we don't understand that that is the key to success, leadership. And we are leaders. We're leading ourselves, first of all, and then we're leading our family or our kids, or if we don't have any kids, we're leading, people in the business. We have a team that we're leading. So leadership is important. Anyway, so back to this. I got inspired, and Miles has said, we are designed for success. Human beings, we are designed for success. And then you'll go, well, why isn't everybody successful? Well, that has its reasons, but we are designed for success. So that's it, there's no debate. But everything in life is designed to function by laws. And because everything in life is designed to function by laws, success is predictable. You can look at a person, you can say, yep, that person is going to be successful because that person is doing this or that, or though, he stay away from this, or he's following this, or blah blah blah. But since success is predictable, also failure is predictable. you can clearly see failure coming when people don't have character, or they think short term, or they want to take shortcuts, or they don't want to listen to other people, they don't want to be mentored, they have big egos. And that's why we're going to go through some really important things here this Sunday school. I'm hyped up myself because I think this is fun to go through stuff like this. So let's get started for today's webinar. And that is, the title of this is The Great Law. So before we get started, to the first principle is that you got to understand that everyone's success is always related to that person's core belief system. And so what is a person's core belief? That is what a person really believes. That person can be in a session like this and get beautiful information or interesting stuff, and they will go, yeah, maybe, but then they will go back to their own thinking, because the core belief system is very strong, and it resides in people's subconscious mind. So that's where you need to change. That's where people need to change. They need to change their subconscious mind. And I'm talking about this all the time in various ways, but how do we change our subconscious mind? Well, you can't do it in a minute because it takes time. But there's a certain way of changing one's core belief system, and that is through repetition and through emotional involvement. And you do that by discipline yourself, self-discipline, and building your character. So how do we do that? Well, it's about these laws. It's about finding these principles and getting hold of these principles and hold on to them. So, number one, the great law, where probably most people, when they hear it, they can go, yeah, maybe I agree. So what is the great law? The great law is what we sow, or maybe I misspelled sow here. Yeah, is what we reap. But it's not to see, it's to sow some seed. What we sow is what we reap. I have to apologize because I suffer from dyslexia, but I saw that I misspelled it. Anyway, the great law is, we can also call it the boomerang effect. What we sow is what we reap. So if we just hold on to that thought for a little bit. So what is it that we are sowing every day? What kind of seed are we putting out in the world? Well, number one, what you think is a way of sow. It's like farming, because to think is to create. So you got to be careful what you think, because you are creating, you are a creator, you will create by thinking. That's why people need to be disciplined in their thinking. So that's one way. Another way is what we speak. So we can sow in speaking. We say the wrong things, or we yell at people, or we say mean things, or, and to be mean is not to correct someone. To correct someone can be very lovingly. There's love in correction. But I mean, if mean-spirited people say mean things, You can write words, writing. In today's world, technology I see in groups where people go off and they, maybe they're not sober. I don't know. Maybe they're influenced out of alcohol or drugs. I don't know, but there's some crazy stuff that people write. That's also a way of saw. You saw with writing or speaking, but you also saw with your actions. What you do or what you not doing, that you actually not doing because you were supposed to do it, but you're not. So you see, we are farmers. We sow every day with just being around people. We sow an attitude is to sow. If you have a great attitude, you walk around among people, you have a great attitude, then you sow good things. If you have bad attitude, you will sow bad things. So you understand what I'm talking about. So what we will reap is what we have sown. Okay, that is the great law, or the boomerang effect. What you throw out in the world will eventually come back to you. So that's why it's so important to um, to repent. And to repent, it means to change our thinking and start doing things in another way. No one is perfect. It's not about that. Anyway, so the great law, what has that to do with anything? Well, it has to do with everything, because when you've been around for a while, you see people that think they're leaders. You see people that think they're sowing great things. You see people that, behaving in a certain way, and you will think I mean, I go, okay, I know what's coming to them, because you can't fool the creator of the universe. You can't trick, because everything is functioned by laws. You don't have to believe that, but eventually you will understand that's the way it is. Okay, so that was the great law. What we sow, we shall so reap. Then we have a second law, which is, and this is not in the numbers way, so it's not number one and then number two. It's just different laws that I'm talking about here. The law of creation. Wow, what is this now? The law of creation. Well, life does not happen by itself. We need to make it happen. So can you tie this law into the first law? Of course. It's obvious. What you sow, so shall you reap. So life does not happen by itself. We're doing it. And I'm not saying that everything that happens to people, because bad things happen to good people. Yes, that's the way it is. Bad things happen to good people. But still, when you have the information that you're not a tree, you don't have roots, you can move. You can do things, you can change. You have a brain, you can think. So this law that life does not happen by itself is pretty interesting. And that's why I love network marketing, because network marketing is one of the businesses where you actually can't hide, because it's so transparent in network marketing or direct sales, because you get paid for what you do, not for what you wish you have. You get paid for, the goals you write down and the deadline you have on those goals, and and that you actually take action to move towards those goals. It's not like you have a wish list and then you send it in to the company that you work for, and the company goes like, oh, here's Mr. So-and-so's wish list. Yes, let's put some money on his account. No, because there's a compensation system, and people work through, they get paid for what they do, not for what they wish they had. Okay? So the law of creation, life does not happen by itself. We need to make it happen. So wherever you are right now, wherever in your life situation, you know, you can make it happen. You are the creator of what's going to happen in your life. Pretty interesting. So we reap what we sow, and life does not happen by itself. We need to make it happen. Then we have the law of growth. What do you say now? Is there a law of growth? Of course there is. I just told you in the first, the couple of the first slides, that everything in this world is functioned by laws. So the law of growth, what is that then? Well, the law of growth is that when we change ourselves, our life changed too. Does this tie into the first law? Of course it does. It's so obvious. Because the people who change the most have the most personal development, the most growth, will change their life the most. I don't know why I had so I was so open when my mentor started to mentoring me. Probably because my life was in turmoil, and it wasn't good. I was poor, busted, and disgusted, and I was just I had a burning desire to change, and I knew I had to change somehow. Anyway, so the law of growth is when we change ourselves. So let's go back to this. You heard me say that money is a byproduct of who you are. Your bank account is how you think, who you are as a person. You can take these laws, and then some people will go, well, I know a guy and he lost his money and he didn't get paid or whatever that was. Yeah, but listen, did that person really change that much? Did that person put in his universal account the change? So the change was as much as what he expected to make on his goal list. If that person didn't, then he's breaking the law. And if you break the law, I mean, there is a consequence. So you see, this is not facts, because facts change. These are principles. Like the guy who walked the earth and said, the same is for today as for yesterday and tomorrow, because it's the same. The principles are the same. They will never change. And some people get angry when I teach like this. That's fine. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to say what the truth is. And the truth is that we reap what we sow. And the truth is that the law of growth is when we change ourselves, our life changed too. Wow. I didn't make the law, so don't blame me. Then we come to this, who have a lot of potential if you get it. That is the law of humility. Is there a law of humility, you say? Of course there is. There's a law of humility. What does that law says? Well, it says one must accept something in order to change it. Wow. So you must accept your situation and understand that, be humble enough to understand that you created that situation in order to change it. Because some people, they don't. It's someone else's fault, or they didn't do it, or, whatever. But the law of humility, does this tie into the other laws? Of course it does. It's so obvious, because this is ego crushing. Ego edging God out. A lot of people who have big egos or ego at all, they're not happy. They're not happy people. They're not happy campers. And they will not be successful. They could have material success for a while, and they could have, tremendous amount of money for a while. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your personal development. I'm talking about your your soul, the one that you own. Listen to me. You will never take the Ferrari with you when you leave planet Earth, but you will take the experiences, the knowledge, and you will take the principle that you learned with you. That's why it's so important. That's why someone said, what does it matter if you win the whole world if you sell your soul? What does it matter? It does not matter. I know it's fun with Ferraris and cars and money, because if you haven't had it, you want to try, you want to, because it's fun. But it's not the end of the game. It doesn't stop there. It's part of the process, of course it is. But to get to the end of the road, you got to follow the laws. So you got to, people who doesn't accept, where they are, who they are, where they came from, have a hard time changing. So that's why it's interesting to understand the law of humility. There's something, you can look it up. It's pretty good. I don't want to do it here, but it's something called the serenity prayer. To accept the things that you cannot change, and to change the things you can. Look it up. It's pretty interesting. So the opposite of humility is ego. I talked about it. Edging God out, or whatever. Ego has no part of success. Not at all. And I'm talking about the destructive ego. I'm not talking about, because some personal development, they go, oh, you got to have an ego to be successful. No. You don't have to have an ego. You got to know yourself. You got to know, and you got to train and discipline yourself. But ego is not in my book, because ego is the opposite of being humble. And to be humble, my mentor said, to be humble is to actually live up to your knowledge, to live up what you know, to live up to that knowledge that you have, is to be humble. So if you know something, if you've been on these webinars and you learned something and you're doing totally opposite, then you're not humble. Then it's ego. Wow. Only that was worth a couple of $1 million. Anyway, some people get it, some people don't, and it's not up to me. I'm just the messenger. Don't kill the messenger. So confidence is not the person walking into a room think he's better than everyone else. And it's to be humble. You don't have to convince anyone. You don't have to uh, when you have the knowledge, you don't have to tell everyone you have it. You just live it. So what does this have to do with anything? Well, everything. Because if you take the laws that we've been talking about today, to reap what we saw, the great law, and the law of growth, you can see that it ties into everything we've been talking about the last couple of months, years, whatever you've been with me. That is, when we think, so we have a certain way of thinking, okay? And where does that come from? Well, it comes from the people we grew up with, the people we spend the most time with, the people we socialize with. In first of all, our family, of course, that's what we get most of it. Then we start going to school or kindergarten and school, and some teacher has influence on us. And then we go to middle school or high school and other teachers and other kids. And then we start watching news and news. I should suggest stop watching news because it's all lies. It's my opinion, I know, but whatever. Uh, because it's an agenda. It's try to control your thinking. So, but there's so much out there. There's so much information today, coming out of everywhere. Internet and social media and a couple of years back it was only the television that could influence people's thinking. So we think like the information we got. Do you understand? So and then one time we understand that, well, I don't like the situation I'm in. I don't like the life I have. Then you got to change the way you think because there's no other way. So when we think, and let's say a problem occur, okay, and a person who have learned that problem is bad will think it's negative. So that person will have a negative feeling about the problem. Then when you start doing personal development and you learn that problem is part of the process, then you will learn or discipline yourself to understand that a problem is part of the process. So I don't have to be negative about it. I just have to change the way I think. First about the problem, so I get another feeling, because some people think that feelings is important. It's not, because feelings lie. How can you say that? Well, because feelings comes from thinking. So if you've been thinking the wrong things, then you have the wrong feelings. Then you got to start learning thinking the right way. So when a person who had the wrong thinking get a problem, get the wrong feeling, that person will take the wrong action or no action, and obviously get a result which that person doesn't like. And then that person, if he doesn't understand personal development and the thing we've been talking about today about law of growth and law of humility, we blame it on someone else and say, it's your fault. No, it's not. Your best thinking got you there. What? I'm leaving this webinar right now. This is not fun anymore. I know it's tough, but it's love. That's why I'm telling you this, because there's no other way. So what happens to people is that when new information occur, like today on this webinar, some of you have got some new information, that something called cognitive dissonance kicks in. And that is that your old information we try to tell you, your ego will tell you, oh, don't listen to that guy Jakobsson. He's wrong. It's not you, it's everyone else. That's cognitive dissonance. That means that the old information will try to, stop the new information from coming in. And cognitive dissonance is a musical term. That means that it's not in harmony, it's dissonance. So the new information will not have the same vibration as the old information. And then most people will try to discharge, or not listening to the new information. Say, no, they don't want to listen to that. So they will stay the same. Those are the people who will have miserable and poor lives, because they are not open. They're not humble enough to understand that they need to listen to new information. They need to be mentored by someone. Because everyone has, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever country you're in, your best thinking got you where you are right now. Wow. How does that work? Well, I don't know. I just know it works. That's the way it works. But the thing is, listen to me now. This is the most beautiful thing of everything. In the creation, you're designed for success. I started with this today because you have the capacity for belief. You can discipline yourself to change your situation. If you just have a belief and faith in the future that you can change this. But nothing, like the law we talked about, nothing will happen by itself. You got to go out and do it. You got to go out and change it. So you are the sole creator. Of course, there's other people involved. Like right now, I'm sitting here and talking to you, trying to help you. But you got to do it. You are the conductor of your life. That's why we need self-discipline and a positive mental attitude about things, because negative thinking will not take anyone nowhere. It will take you backwards. So that's why we have these webinars, so you can understand that someone loves you enough that give you this information so that you can change and you can help other people to change. So you got to know what you want. You got to give expression of gratitude. You got to have a mindset of gratitude. Got to be grateful. Keep your mind open for inspiration and new information. If you're overtaken by defeat, just keep on doing it. And you got to have a burning desire. So when doubt come into your mind, you have the capacity for belief. I will take this training and make a half hour of it, but not today. So I will leave you today with this. And hope you had 30, 40 minutes, whatever we did here, of great inspiration. If you didn't, you got to come back next Sunday and listen to some more of my talking. And, you have to go out there and start helping other people, because that's will start the prosperity process. And go out in the world and help them. And, until next Sunday, be prosperous, happy, joyous, and free. And most of all, free in your mind. Thank you.
2020 has come to define the importance of an online business. Earning an extra source of income from the safety of your own home has never been more prominent. To build on this, we set out to create the ultimate online business right in your pocket. Introducing Crowd1. Crowd1 is a leading global crowd marketing force set out to empower people all around the world. Our vision is to provide sustainable business opportunities for everyone. That includes you. Through Crowd1's easy-to-use, all-in-one software, you are able to create and grow your own team. You and your team then recommend and distribute groundbreaking online products, carefully crafted to the core, whilst earning commission. Mobile gaming, e-learning, digital traveling agencies, and more. With Crowd1's wide library of products and services, there is always a product that fits your customers' needs, maximizing your ability to market them. Organizing your work is important too. The Crowd1 platform is optimized for keeping structure and managing your business and income. Additionally, we provide education and training in entrepreneurship to help you on your way to success. These three components work in harmony to create the best version of yourself and your team. With over 25 million members, great products and services, and the right tools at the tip of your fingers to create and manage your own business. Join us today and be part of the future.